Well, let's go ahead and we'll go live. Mr. Lowry is running into some, apparently, some internet issues. He found I guess, his modem was physically broken and uh, sent Kara down to go get another modem, and she's made it back. And now they're dealing with Suddenlink and all that, trying to get his modem authenticated. And anyway, he's trying to come online, so I figured, well, we'll go ahead and hit live and hang out with a few guests. So go ahead and let me know in the comments if you can hear me, and let me get my ears plugged in and lights turned on. And let me know. Hello, Mr. Larry James Hawkins. Greetings to you. Let me know if my audio is coming through okay tonight. We're running into some slight technical difficulties, but that's okay. We fly by the seat of our pants anyway. We're going to have a very interesting show tonight. All right. Hello, Dee Dee White Clark and Ruth Pope Johnson. Says audio is good. Greg Bell says, let's see, should we play Guess What Hat Duke will be wearing when he comes on? That's a good game that we could play. We can all take a drink every time Duke comes on with a different hat, I guess. All right, thank you, Larry James Hawkins. Mr. Mike Collier, good to see you. Said he can hear us. And Carrie says, where is Duke? He ran away. I guess we've Yes, maybe we've scared him off. So, anyway, I'm going to sit here and ad lib for a minute. We got about 30 something people watching. We're going to have a great show tonight. We talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, we kind of turned our attention to the Bossier Parish police jury and this whole village water system drama and debacle. And we've seen what the police jury has said in their meetings and interviews, but we're going to hear from the actual people from the village water system. And they're going to be on as guests of ours here in just a little bit. And so we're going to hear it straight from them as to what really happened. This should be an interesting interview. I think we may have a slight update on the Bellevue water situation. We're also going to talk, of course, some more about the Cypress District and the Robert Berry case. It is taken some more very interesting turns. Some of that information, and I won't say who it is, but is watching now, was pointed out to us literally just minutes before the show. So we'll be talking about some of that. And apparently there's some drama out on Harold Montgomery Road. We had some information sent to us and some pictures. Apparently there's like an oil slick. I guess they're redoing the road out there. But there are some issues with that, and some folks got oil, road tar, or whatever all over their vehicles, and so we got some pictures of that. We're going to talk about that. Hello, Barry Butler. Good to see you. Val Baker, good to see you as well. So I'm going to kind of ad-lib for a few more minutes. We've got two of our guests in the green room. Again, we'll be getting to them here in about 10 or 15 minutes or so, but we're giving Mr. Lowry a few minutes to see if he can actually get online. Let's see. Yep. Okay. I can see all three guests if y'all are watching. So I can see you all in the green room. That's a good deal. And anyway, so I also want to talk about, just for a few minutes while we're letting Duke try to get his issues sorted out. Let me switch screens here. So just a second. Let's see. Facebook.com. So, how many of you have seen hello, Mom, how many of you have seen the posts that we've been making on Facebook on the Bossier Watch page? If you hadn't, I would encourage you to go over there and take a look at some of the posts, because we've been posting information. Let me see if I can switch screens and let's see, and show some of that. We've been posting lots of information about the Cypress District. Let's see, here we go. That, and of course, Duke's absent. For now, anyway. So we've been posting lots of information concerning the Cypress District as we lead into this Robert Berry situation that we talked about in the Supreme Court of Louisiana. And one of the things that we've been posting about is the ad valorem tax, which is currently, I think, 1.54 mils, which was voted in November the 4th of 2014. That renewal is up to be renewed in 10 years from 2014, so it'll be up for renewal in 2024. And it's kind of interesting here. You'll see I did an information request, and I know it's kind of small on the screen right there, but let me see if I can, let's see if I can get this to, and let's see if my software is going to play nicely. There we go. Let me do that, and let me do that. And let me see if I can stretch this out while we're waiting on Duke. So I know that might be kind of hard to read, but if you go and take a look at that post, you'll see that the ad valorem tax actually generates about $1.2 million a year. At least this is the 2022 P&Ls that I've got from the Cypress district. The ad valorem tax generates about $1.2 million a year. And let me remind everybody that this ad valorem tax is on about 80% of Bossier Parish. So it's not just people that live around the lake. As a matter of fact, the landowners around Cypress and Black Bayou contribute about $243,260 to be exact in 2022 in landowner fees, whereas the ad valorem tax actually generates about $1.2 million. And so I've got all that information posted, and of course, their legal fees, you can see down here in red, they spent $191,000 last year in legal fees. Hello, Mr. Lowry. Can you hear me? Apparently he can't hear yet. Can you hear me? Paging Duke Lowry. Paging Duke Lowry. Paging Duke Lowry. Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me? I can hear you. Say something? Whoop. Well, we almost had him. We'll try again here in a minute. So let me go back over here. Anyway, so of course they're spending $191,000 in legal fees. That's to the Ayers law firm. I've talked about that ad nauseum. They've also spent somewhere around $379,000 in administrative salaries and payroll. That's Robert Berry's salary plus, I would assume, some of the employees there. Obviously, he's making a lot, but not that much. He's making somewhere around $120,000 a year. Let's see. Greg Bell says, Julie Ferris pointed out the $28,000 in credit card fees. How much do you have to spend via credit cards to have that kind of convenience? Well, no kidding. Now, I would remind you that they're doing enough volume, I should imagine, in credit card fees. Depending on how they're set up, they should be spending about 2% or less in total credit card fees that they pay out for their merchant services. I don't know exactly how much that $28,000 is, what percentage that is of their total revenue from the park fees that are paid by credit cards. So, can you hear us now, Duke? Hello. Hello.
Nothing.
Oh, I can hear you good. We can
You
hear
got
you
me, but okay. I don't have you. No audio.
Interesting. I wonder why Duke has no audio.
Keep going.
Well, so check your connections and all that. All right, so let me switch it. Well, all right. So anyway, we'll talk about that some more. Of course, they did make their LCDA bond payment, their debt payment. Last year, they had actually skipped a year, I think, during the COVID deal. Let me flip back over the screens again. But anyway, I've got all that information posted. There has been some really good discussion going on and some commentary. Yeah, you're right, Barry. Let me see if I can do this. So he should be able. He's got some issues going on. All right. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and do the. This is kind of absolutely ad lib. So we're going to go ahead and do our countdown and all that, and then we'll come back, and hopefully we'll have Duke resolved by then, and he can come on in. So y'all know the deal. Grab you some popcorn, grab you a stiff drink. You're not going to want to miss this one because we've got several guests on that are from the village water system. They're the actual employees who the police jury has claimed just walked out. And so we're going to hear their side of the story and give them the platform to be able to get the information out in the open, the correct information. But anyway, so all right, here we go. I'm going to hit the countdown. We'll see if we can get Duke on, and we'll go from there.
Helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by David B. Womack for all your contracting and construction needs. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting is an IWTP customized training provider with over 25 years of success to show for it. Call them for a free consultation today. Pelican Training and Consulting matches employers with 50-plus employees with training dollars. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Well, do we have you now, Mr. Lowry?
I think you have me. I mean, dadgum, who knew that all the gremlins were going to jump up this week and just grab me at every turn? But I'm fighting tigers off here.
Well, that was pretty cool that, at 6:30 you said, hey, I have no internet connection. That's usually not good considering this is, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, which is, all through the internet.
Well, we've had a little bit of an issue in the past, and my connectivity was sketchy, and we thought we had a problem. Well, I don't know. We may not have figured it out, but my modem was broke. And
like literally physically broken?
Physically broke. And I'm not sure if it was somewhere between Xbox from one of my kids and something along those lines that maybe damaged it, or one of the critters that runs around my house and may have knocked it off of the counter or something like that. I don't know. It was
See,
somewhere between that.
what are you taking lessons from the police jury these days? You got to blame everybody else?
Well, I mean, why can't we play the police jury card? I mean, come
I guess
on.
so. We're
The cat
tax-paying
did it.
citizens. Yeah,
I mean, or
exactly.
should I blame the dog? Maybe it was both.
The
Both
dog, the
probably did.
cat. Yeah, it's probably both. Blame
It
everything
was
on both.
probably both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be
Well,
both.
anyway, while we were trying to sort that out in the background, I was just rambling on, doing my normal soapbox about the Cypress financials. And, we got a pretty good crowd watching tonight. So, anyway, we can continue on with the financials. That's not a big deal. But we might want to go ahead. I know we've got some guests waiting in the wings, so we don't want to spend too long on it. But why don't we kind of finish up with the Cypress district and some new revelations that we've pretty much just learned this afternoon.
Revelations.
Revelations.
Revelations. That sounds just I don't know, intriguing. Tell me, what revelations could we possibly have had?
Sounds almost biblical, doesn't it? Well, first of all, let me see if I can do this. So let me pull up this email. Now, this is from a prior case. This is not actually new, but one of our astute watchers of the show pointed this out to us from the case files. And you see I've got it highlighted in yellow and red, but I'll read it for those of you that are listening to the podcast or those of you that can't see on your mobile screen. Says the Cypress Black Bayou Water and Conservation District is not a person holding public office and public employment. This is the AG's office saying this in the suits. It is believed that this exception has been filed to allow the attorneys for Cypress Black Bayou District to provide a legal defense to Robert Berry at no personal cost by him. We griped about the same thing when the DA, when Schuyler's office filed suit. Instead of filing suit against Robert Berry, he filed it against Robert Berry and the Cypress District. And we're all like, wait a minute. That's so that Ayers law firm can represent Robert Berry basically in the suit. Anyway, he says right there circled in red, our office has told the attorneys for Cypress District that their attorneys cannot pay for the defense of Mr. Berry repeatedly. And it's clear that the only reason they want the district to be a case is so that they can fund the defense of the claim against him, the claims against the individual. And as we reported, that case has been decided upon with the Louisiana Supreme Court, kicked back to the 26 JDC, and as we learned earlier, apparently the sheriff has served Schuyler Marvin in that case. So apparently the DA's office is getting sued, I guess. I'm not a legal scholar here.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means, but it's interesting that Schuyler Marvin was served by, it looks like, the AG's office, the Louisiana Department of Justice. So it would be interesting to see exactly what he was being served for. Oh,
Well,
what do you know? There you go.
well, what do you know? We just so happen to have that. So this is says you are hereby cited to comply with the demand contained in the petition, a certified copy of which accompanies a citation, or file your answer or other pleading to said petition in the office of the clerk of the 26 JDC, blah, 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 within 21 days after the service hereof, which he's already been served. Your failure to comply herewith will subject you to the penalty of entry of judgment against you. The sheriff or his deputy has just handed you a lawsuit which states why you're being sued.
Now we don't have a copy of the petition, though, do we?
Well, let's
Or a
see.
certified copy that accompanies the citation. We don't have that, or do we have that?
Well, we got something else here. Let's see what this document right here is. Let's see. It's the state of Louisiana's petition to intervene. So, let's see. Now in the court. All right, here we go. Jeff Landry is the duly elected AG, blah, blah, blah. They cite the Louisiana Constitution there. Let's see if we can go over to page 2. Intervention on behalf of the state is necessary here as a matter of right through its constitutionally designated officer, Jeff Landry. Blah, blah, blah. The Attorney General is further interested in these proceedings because he sent written notice detailing defendant Robert Berry, not the Cypress districts, violation of Louisiana's dual office holding and employment statute. The Attorney General filed his own lawsuit arising from defendant's violations and blah, blah, blah. So basically, it's here.
Yeah. So, okay. So basically, this was the intervening in the case that the Louisiana Supreme Court, a lot of people, I wonder, everybody watching, how many of you are up to speed on how we even got here? I'm just curious, Rex, because a lot of people may not know the backstory here. And I'm just wondering it. We repeated it ad nauseum for a long time, and but I'm just wondering how many people don't know how we got here.
Well, let's see if I can recite it off the top of my head. I've been trying to study up on it because, we hadn't talked about it in a while, and I used to could recite all this off the top of my head. But basically, Robert Berry was appointed executive director of the park and all that out there back in, 2014, I think. There was some discussion in the meeting minutes of the Cypress District about that, and there were some questions, it raised a few eyebrows. Then fast forward, Robert actually, to his credit, he actually tried to resign his position on the board with the Bossier Parish Police Jury, who appoints him. He is their appointee. And, to his credit, he did try to resign, but they basically wouldn't have it. So
now wait a minute. You're talking about the police jury. You're talking about when Doug Rimmer, he said, hey,
yes.
Look, if he would have offered his resignation, we would have took it gladly. Well, lo and behold, we showed that he did offer it.
Absolutely did.
And who was it, Rex, that made the motion to reappoint him?
Was it Taxman? Well, let's see. Taxman Rimmer?
Taxman Rimmer.
Oh, wow.
He's who coined us as cockroaches. Don't you recall?
Yes, the cockroaches and cohorts. How could I forget that? Okay, so fast forward. So everything is rocking along and pretty rocky. And as a matter of fact, did you know, I went back through some of the notes. Robert Berry was the one that made the initial motion on the Cypress District to hire the Ayers Law Firm to replace whatever lawyers they had before. Did you know that?
By golly, wouldn't you know?
Coincidentally.
How is that possible? Yeah, amazing.
Anyway, so fast forward. So Robert Berry, apparently, he, just to be blunt about it, pisses off a bunch of the landowners and people surrounding the district and the taxpayers of the district. He orchestrated an attempt to literally double the millage out there, which failed miserably a couple of years ago, by the way. And then he was reported to the ethics board and the AG and the DA's office for dual office holding. I'm greatly summarizing this, which of course went to the Good Old Boys Network here in Bossier at the 26 JDC, and our good buddy Charles Jacobs.
Whoa, wait a minute. Hold up.
Okay.
Now,
okay.
I'm thinking that you didn't exactly tell that how it went, because a lot of people believe that it didn't just go to the Good Old Boys to actually try to truly resolve it. Actually, the Good Old Boys made a pretty good play on the deal, right?
Well, they did initially, because as Patrick Jackson, the police jury attorney or parish attorney, who was also an ADA, said, and I quote, they're trying to see if the attorney general is correct. Not if Robert Berry was, dual office holding. He literally, we played it multiple times before, said, we want to see if the attorney general is correct.
Why would he say to see if the attorney general is correct? I mean, I
don't know. It was an odd statement.
It's very odd. I mean, why would he say that? I mean, this is our town. You don't come up here and piss in our neck of the woods, right? Is that what he was saying?
Basically, yes. So,
Oh, okay. The future governor here, you've done pissed on him a little bit, and we'll see how that turns out.
yeah, we'll see how it turns out. So, to fast forward, it went through the appeals process, blah, blah, blah. The
Oh, and
attorney general.
wait a minute. Whoa. So
Okay.
it's worth noting, how did the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, how did that work out, Rex? Tell
Well,
everybody how they viewed it. Did they rubber stamp, the good old boys of
actually,
Bossier, or did they side with, state law?
well, no, they actually pretty much rubber stamped it. And that meant that the AG's office kicked it up to the Supreme Court and took it up another notch. So, interestingly, I'm kind of jumping here, so bear with me, folks. In the Shannon Brown, Mr. Thornhill case, the appeals court did reverse the 26 JDC's ruling and sided with Mr. Thornhill, represented by his daughter Shannon Brown. But on the Robert Berry case, they didn't, which prompted the whole legal maneuvering to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court kicked back both of the cases to the 26 JDC. So basically, Robert Berry and his dual office holding can go pound sand, and now we can answer the question that Patrick Jackson so eloquently put. Apparently, Jeff Landry was right in his office. So, did I summarize that? I mean, it's kind of confusing and convoluted and has been stretching on for years, but finally we appear to have a little bit of progress.
I think you did. I think you did. But for a lot of folks watching that may, have not historically kept up with the detail like we have, and that are full-time viewers that have kept up with it and know it in and out, and are probably tired of us talking about it. But why is it important? If I just watched this tonight and I just heard you, summarize, the whole story, and it wasn't all of it. There's a lot left out, a lot of detail that's important.
Right.
I think really important. But why should I care about the Cypress District Park? Why does that matter to me? Why do I even care about any of this?
Number one, they're taxing authority over about 80 some odd percent of the district of Bossier Parish. But number two,
An unelected
board of bureaucrats appointed by the Bossier Parish Police Jury. The the school board appoints one, the city of Bossier appoints one, the town of Benton appoints one, and does the Red River Waterway Commission appoint the other one? Who is it? I always forget.
No,
the fifth
no,
one.
I don't.
The levy board.
No, if I had my guess, I would say it was probably the port.
Yeah, those guys are into everything. No telling.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
They got to control everything. So,
but to go really back in time, this whole Cypress District situation, and especially with their attorneys out there and all that drama and all that, was really one of the things that was a precipitant for Bossier Watch. Not the only one, but it's one of the reasons that we came up with Bossier Watch, was to have a platform to really get this information out there and be able to, control the narrative outside of the highly paid attorneys from Caddo Parish, by the way. That's the heirs law firm over there, Curtis Shelton, blah, 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 whatever their whole full name is. So anyway, Mike Collier says the levy board. I couldn't remember if it was the Waterway Commission or the levy board. So the levy board appoints the other one.
So a lot of people, feel like that you can't stand up against the machine. You can't stand up against the good old boys. You can't win. You can't. But what I would tell you is that obviously in this case, there are some people who will stand up against the machine and can beat the machine. And I would say one of them's fixing to be your governor, who did that and is continuing to do that. And,
That is true. They have stayed with it. There is no doubt about it. His office has really stayed with this case.
Now, Rex, you were posting all the P&Ls and you were talking about all the money beforehand. Why is that so significant? Because historically, the park didn't spend a ton of money, a ton of the taxpayers' money. But all of a sudden, when Robert Berry come in, we took out these loans or these bonds, and
Yeah,
now
$3
it
million.
looks like we're
Well,
spending a
$3
crap
million.
load of money.
Look, I could get off on this, go off on a tangent on this practically all night. But just as an example, folks, we've shown on the show here before that they did a $3 million bond initiative from the LCDA. Basically, it's a $3 million loan. They used as part of the basis for the $3 million that they were going to build $1 million event center, that they then bragged about not spending anywhere near $1 million after they had the money.
Whoa, hold up. David B. Womack. I got to call David B. Womack. And y'all see him. He's one of our supporters here, at the top of the screen. Womack Contractor LLC. Womack, who has worked hard to correct this? Are you saying somebody on the police jury has? Because I got to tell you, I haven't seen any of them that gave a crap about trying to change it.
No, they were. Trust me, the
sorry.
police jury is well aware. And Duke, try to focus your camera a little bit. So the police jury is well aware of this situation, and they have done absolutely nothing. Much better. Absolutely zero. As a matter of fact, they've been silent on this whole issue, including one police juror, Philip Rogers, who literally campaigned on this, on trying to do something about raining in the Cypress district, and has done nothing except throw softballs up for Robert Berry to bat out of the park.
The $1 million question is why did Philip Rogers go quiet on it? Why is Philip Rogers so silent on it? And I'm wondering, I mean, has he been the beneficiary of any good old boy deals that made him go quiet? I don't know.
What, you mean like a 99-year lease or something?
I don't know. That may make a lot of people uncomfortable because we're talking about people that you may like or may not dislike. I mean, and that makes us, wait a minute, didn't I hear at a police jury meeting, they just tell lies. They just tell lies. Wasn't that what they said? They just tell lies.
Well, as a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting you said that. Let me switch screens real quick and let me drag this over here and shrink this down. So you may have seen the little deal that I posted, show 152 bearing false witness for a little event listing. And, well, looky there. She looks familiar. Who is that female there, Duke?
I don't know. She looks familiar to me as well, too. I got to tell you, you're something else with your artwork.
Yeah, she could be holding the 10 Commandments and bearing false witness, which is arguably one of the worst sins, blah, blah, blah. But I would argue that as attorneys, she needs to be careful of how she uses that.
But that's what they say we do every show. Every week, we're doing nothing but sitting here bearing false witness. I mean, and it's been said at a police jury meeting about, just lies, just lies. In fact, one of our guests that came on the show said she was just lying, talking about the issues that she had with the park. Remember that? Doesn't even live here.
It was around Christmas
time.
Hunt. Yeah. Around Christmas time, we had I forget her name off the top of my head. Somebody help me in the notes here or in the comments here. But yeah, she didn't have any dog in the hunt at all, and came on and gave her story of her dealings with the Cypress Park and specifically with Robert Berry. But but we're spreading lies and bearing false witness. Just like tonight, we have guests on. I guess we're going to be bearing false witness again.
Yeah, so I guess when you present evidence, I guess the state attorney general is, bearing false witness. I guess the Louisiana Supreme Court is bearing false witness. Interestingly, this Cypress District Park thing, I brought it up at a PEC meeting not too terribly long ago, and nobody wanted to hear it. Not Taxman Rimmer. That's where he said, hey, if I'd have known that he was going to resign, we would have accepted his resignation. And then we found the fact that he made the motion to reappoint him.
Right.
I mean,
when he was trying to resign.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I guess telling the truth is bearing false witness. So I guess we'll just have to keep, bearing false witness tonight. So Speaking of
I guess
false
so.
witness, what false witness are we going to share tonight, Rex? What more lies and innuendo and are we going to spew out there tonight?
Well, shall we go ahead and see if we can get our guests on?
I think we should.
All right, so this is going to be the first time we've tried this many guests, so bear with us for a second here, folks. All right. Everybody take yourselves off mute. I think Tracy, I think I've got all the names right. I think Tracy, you're still on mute. Sal, can you hear us? Sal, can you hear us? Hello?
You
I
got
can
the
hear
mute
you.
on and-
Oh, okay. Miss Sue can hear us. Sal can't? All right. Sal, go ahead and disconnect and reconnect.
Miss Sue, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
All right. Stay on with us, Miss Sue. So, Duke, I'm going to kill Tracy's connection and Sal's connection.
Okay.
And if you would shoot them a text and let them know to just come back on with the same link. And Miss Sue, if you'll just be patient for a minute. All right.
Okay.
Can you hear us now, Sal? Hello. Well, this worked great when we tested it out. He should be able to hear us.
Does he still have the mute engaged, you think?
Let me see. All right, I'm going to return you to the green room. Can you hear me now, Sal? Nod your head if you can hear us.
Yeah, thumbs up. He said he can hear us.
All right.
Tracy, how about you?
Okay, Sal, can you hear us now? Hello? Tracy? This worked so well when we did it earlier.
Yeah, we
All
did.
right.
So, do we need to boot
They have to-
everybody and just?
They have to go completely back out and in again because I had the same issue until I went back to the original.
Right. I think so. All right, Duke, send them a text and tell them to completely go out, swipe out.
Okay, so I texted them. I told them to get out and start over. So, for the 70 to 80 folks in here, y'all bear with us. We appreciate your patience. And I promise you, you're going to love the content that's coming regarding the subject matter. And what we're going to talk about is the village water system. Now, y'all may remember in our last show, we highlighted a police jury meeting where the police jury kind of got out there a little bit and was talking about the village water system or the former village water system and its employees, and talking about some of the issues and problems that the system has had since the parish consolidated took over the system. So, Rex, I can't see the restream cue. So if you're wanting to cue something up, you got to cut me off and say it.
Yeah, that's okay. So let me get to the point here. What I want to bring up, this was the police jury meeting that we showed last week, and I wanted to just cue up to the point where Philip Rogers, what is he, is it District 3 that Philip's the police juror for? You're a district, right, Duke?
Yep. I think it's District 3. So that'll be all up around Cypress and Black Bayou, the Benton area. That would be him.
Okay, Sal, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Excellent. Now, if we can just get Tracy back in, we'll be batting 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. So here comes Tracy. She's trying. We had her great when I think she was outside earlier. Maybe she needs to go back outside. Bear with us, folks. Technical difficulties. This is live. Okay. While she's trying to come back in, I'm going to go ahead and play. So y'all should be able to hear this as well. I'm going to go ahead and play the point at which Philip Rogers claims that the village people, village employees, walked out. All right, let's see if this is going to work.
know that everybody that was running Village Water walked out and they
Yeah,
left
she
y'all?
knows. They know that.
Yeah. So,
Well, I appreciate y'all trying to make it good in the transition.
Okay. So Philip Rogers claims, and I guess most of the police jury claims, that you guys actually just walked out. So would you care to share any insight to that? And we'll kind of take turns maybe. I guess Sal, I'll let you go first, and then Miss Sue just kind of,
Well,
ad lib in.
well, and I think, Rex, I think it would be appropriate to ask our guests to say, what their role, and what everybody may not
Oh,
realize is that these guys were the folks that ran the village water system. And in which capacities, I'm not 100% what all of y'all's roles. I think I know, but I'm not 100%. But I'd rather hear y'all say what your roles were. And Sal, I guess we'll start with you, and then go to Sue, and hopefully Tracy will be in by then.
Well, good. Yes. There she is. Yeah, my name is Sal. I was the manager for Village Water System for over 28 years. The population exploded from the time that I came here to, 3 weeks ago, 2 months ago. My role was to make sure that repairs were done, you name it, the readings. Uh, I did pretty much everything. Printed the bills, notices, drafts, what have you. So it was a lot of things to describe here, but pretty much I was the buck stops here. Other than the board members, I worked for them. Uh, that's basically it. Unless you want to know something else.
No, that's good. That's good. Sue, what was your role?
My role was in the accounting. I worked there 21 years. I did payroll, the day-to-day activities on accounting. I did the financial statements, quarterly taxes, year-end reports, W-2s, anything to do with the finances, balance the bank statements, uh, anything financial.
So between the two of you, and we'll hear from Tracy. Hopefully, we're trying to get a call-in number where she can just call in. We'll hear from her for a minute. But between you two, sounds like at least y'all pretty much knew what was going on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we did.
Sal is a certified operator. He was in the military and worked in water and sewer for Barksdale before being hired on at Village Water. So he had the expertise in how to run the system and upgraded a lot of things. The SCADA system, which gave him readings on what was going on at all of the wells 24/7. We always had someone checking the wells. He had those reports. He coordinated with the state department on all of those
A lot.
requirements.
A lot.
So it's a lot.
Well, it sounds like, Sal, you're a high achiever. I'll give you that. But what was Tracy's role? Since we're having a little bit of trouble with Tracy, and I think she's maybe going to call in here in a moment.
Hold on just a second, Dukes, and bear with us, folks, again. So Tracy, can you hear us?
I can actually hear y'all.
Okay, can everybody hear Tracy?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So Tracy's going to be on a call in. So Tracy, we were just kind of reviewing the roles of everybody at the Village Water System. So why don't you go ahead and review what your role was at the Village Water System, if you don't mind?
Yes, sir.
That's my right brain.
I really did a lot of everything. Of course, customer service. They come in to pay their bills, any kind of questions they may have, customer concerns, high bills, trying to help people search for water leaks, We printed bills, processed bills, all the readings that come in each month, go over those.
Complaints. Took care of the complaints very well there, Tracy.
Well, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this here, and I'm just going to right out of the gate. Rex, in the notes, I have a link to the first kind of when things kind of first went going. There was a KSLA interview that I think Doug Warner had Butch Ford on the phone, and he asked him some questions, and I think let's play that, and let's jump right off into that right out of the gate, and then let's get Sal, Sue, and Tracy's thoughts on that issue right out of the gate.
Okay, so give me just a second here and let me get it pulled up. Let's see. I'm going to try to do this with everybody in as a guest, but we'll see. All right, let's see how this is going to work. And
sorry.
Well,
right,
tonight we're
go.
getting answers in and around the Houghton area. Thousands without water or very low water pressure, and that includes 3 schools who had no water today and won't tomorrow either. It's impacting anyone on the village water system. Well, tonight they're working around the clock to fix a major leak. Now, this morning, the water system's computer system suddenly crashed, prompting a possible criminal investigation. More on that in a moment. On Friday, the entire village water system staff walked off the job and didn't show up today, compounding this entire situation. First things first, the status of the water. The entire system is on a 3-day boil advisory that started late this evening. That will last until at least Thursday. A Bossier Parish crew is out fixing the leak on Wafer Road right now, right off Highway 80, across from the Forest Hills subdivision. That's one of a couple of neighborhoods without water or very low water pressure, and that includes Platt Elementary, TL Rhodes Elementary, and Princeton Elementary. They've had bottled water delivered to the schools. Now, for months, the parish had been working with the Village Water System Board to take over operations, but it was suddenly expedited with the walkout of a half-dozen workers on Friday. That's why no one was answering your calls today or in the office today. I caught up with the parish administrator, Butch Ford, a short time ago.
I just received an update on it. An entire joint of pipe split, and so they're working on it. It's going to be a few more hours before they get it fixed.
You're saying the water computer system crashed, and you're so concerned and worried about it that you actually called the sheriff's office to look into it?
When I got to their office and looked at it, I immediately notified the sheriff's department that something had shut the system down. It's a computer program, and I've met with them, and we're getting them some more information so they can help us look into it.
So you're concerned it could have been an intrusion from the outside?
Yes, it could have been. I asked the guy if he'd ever seen this before, and he said no. So,
and Ford tells me parish workers.
All right, let me stop that. Okay.
So what did y'all were the former folks that they say just walked out. I mean, I guess that's the first question. Is that accurate or is that inaccurate? Because, and they even said at the most recent police jury meeting, Philip Rogers, police juryman said, a lot of people don't realize that all of y'all just walked off. Y'all just abandoned them. Did y'all just abandon them? Were they just left high and dry and had no knowledge, no nothing whatsoever? Is that accurate or inaccurate?
It's totally inaccurate. Go ahead, Sue. Go ahead.
This has been going on, the parish and negotiations with Village Water for several years. We started meetings last year, meeting once or twice a month at the police jury office. We were giving them information on the system at that time. They had papers. They had every document about what Village Water owned, every easement, every legal paper that is available. So to say
now,
they didn't know where locks on gates were, they didn't know where anything was, is not totally accurate.
Would you say
Um,
bearing false witness?
I would say that would be bearing false witness to say that they didn't know what was going on, because they
Yeah.
were given all the information and they were not prepared. And we had given them notice back in December that if we couldn't, through our board, meet with some obligations that they had originally told us that they would do. Things would remain the same for village water customers. It wouldn't be any change. It wouldn't be any rate increases. We would be able to have our same status, our vacation time, just a number of those issues. When it got down closer and closer, we couldn't ever get anything actually uh, verbal or in writing as to what really was going to happen. And we kept telling them, we're leaving. And when we leave, we're all leaving because y'all are not even considering what is best for village water customers, even though it had been voted on, which was a little bit of a shady
Well,
situation to begin with.
well, now look, I'm going to tell you, it was suggested that the reason y'all all walked off the job was over money because they didn't agree to give you the money that you were promised. Is that accurate or is that inaccurate?
The,
inaccurate.
Conversations in reference to the financials started probably 2.5 years ago. And I personally was told several times what that would be. And I kept inquiring as to those things. And the only thing that I had left to have any leverage in order to have the parish give me some answers was that the board had agreed not to. We were going to have to send a letter out to the membership so that they may be able to understand why Village Water wanted to merge with the parish. Well, that letter in of itself was totally pro parish. You know, big dad was coming in and was going to be able to pay for all of the projects that I myself wanted to do for years and years. And so that was an enticement to me. I am not opposed to progress. All of that would have allowed for the same things that they want, which is more development, more money in the coffers, more finances to be able to maintain the water system, the infrastructure,
But
operations, maintenance, and all of that. However, once I began to understand that the promises that were made around the beginning of all of the conversations weren't going to come to fruition, I began to ask questions in those meetings that Sue talked about. We did meet once, twice a month, and I would bring up those questions. When are we going to know for sure that you're going to do the things that you said you would?
So
The,
let me
go ahead.
not to interrupt you, Sal, but let me ask you this. Ashley Lee Bullock brought up in the comments just a minute ago. So, do you recall who was present at these meetings? Was it actual Bossier Parish Police jurors, or who was
No.
present at some of these meetings?
Bossier Parish
No,
staff.
never saw.
Go ahead, Sue.
Glenn Benton was the only uh, police jury ever present at any of those meetings. And, because that is his district, and he's was always concerned and wanted the projects to go through so it would benefit village water.
Mm-hmm.
That was
So,
his
so who were
At
y'all
those
mainly
meetings
speaking
was
to?
you're talking about their financial staff, their HR staff, their engineering staff,
And
their
attorneys.
and attorneys and bookkeeping, CPAs were there. You name it. That's who was there. And the only reason, as Sue said, that Glenn was there a couple of times, and only one, 2, 3 times at most, was because he is the representative of the majority of village water system population.
So Tracy, let me ask you this, because you've been real patient and quiet on the phone over there, but it sounds to me like you were, Tracy, kind of in charge of or the point person for the customer service side of it. Tracy, were there any discussions that you had with the Bossier Parish Police Jury or their administrative staff concerning how to handle any customer service issues?
Yes, there are actually several. We, as Village, we actually like that face-to-face, interaction. We could tell you when somebody walked in, 90% of them, their name, their address before they even opened their mouth. We had that personal relationship where we could tell you what was going on. You weren't just a number or an address to us.
Exactly.
And I felt like once the parish came in, that they would lose that.
Yeah, and there was some evidence of that at that Bossier Parish Police Jury meeting. When they were talking about the one person had been locked out of the gate and so on and so forth and that type of thing. It seems to me that what the police jury is trying to portray that happened from their viewpoint is not in reality based on what y'all are saying that happened. Ms. Sue, do you want to speak to that?
That's exactly right. I feel that the police jury members were kept in the dark most of the time,
Right.
and until it got down to the last few months, our board members actually was the first time that they had met with them, and they weren't aware of a lot of things that were going on.
We weren't allowed to
But
go to those meetings.
Really?
yeah, we weren't allowed to show up. We had really no input into a lot of things that is why we gave our resignation on a Friday morning. We went in, we wrote I wrote payroll checks, I wrote vacation checks, I paid all vendors who had invoices in. It was not like we walked out of there and did. We had a board member that when he came to sign the checks, gave him our resignations, told him what was going on. So he had ample time. No other board members showed up that day. Nobody from the police jury showed up that day. I think they never took us serious until 5 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And we did not give them.
What's that, Tracy?
I'm sorry.
They knew that all of us walking out together was a possibility in December 14th of 2022 to be exact.
Yep.
So y'all had given them notice around that time?
I told the board members at board meetings more than 4 times, 5 times, I don't know how many times. I cannot work with folks that tell me one thing and do another. I cannot have someone as my boss that's telling me, I'm going to say it, it's telling me lies right before he actually becomes my boss. So what would have happened thereafter? I don't know. But yeah, Sue is right, or Tracy's right. We had given them plenty of notice in reference that we didn't really want to go to work for the parish, not necessarily because it was the parish, because they were not going to keep their word.
Well, I've got a question. So it is said that, you guys were told that, look, if you can leave, we can run the system better than you anyway. And it was basically they didn't care. Was there something to that? Was either any of y'all told that? Did y'all hear that, or who said that? Is that accurate?
It was with or without us.
Say that again, Tracy. You've broken up.
They could run that system with or without us.
So who told you that specifically? Do you remember who it was?
Oh, I want to say it was two different people. One being Butch. Whenever we finally got to meet with him about our salaries and things like that. He said, of course, he couldn't promise anything, and everything had to go before the police jury, which is understandable. But then, basically that I felt like I was more of an asset to the company than he wanted to realize, and he pretty much said, we're going to move in and take it over, and it'll be with or without y'all.
So, Sal, I want to circle back to just a second, though. So you mentioned earlier, and I think Sue mentioned it too, that y'all weren't allowed to go to these meetings. Was there like somebody specifically that told you don't go or don't show up?
Yes.
And what meetings were they?
Well, first of all, we didn't even know that they were taking place. At a couple of times, even at the board meetings, I was asked to leave so that they could have conversations without me, for whatever that is worth. Yeah, they okay, let me back up a little. I wrote a letter that enumerated all of the things that the parish had said would do for village water and were not going to come to pass. So in there is all sorts of different things, and I don't have a copy right now. I wished I would have sent you one just so that you could be looking at it. But once I wrote that letter, the conversations
to our board.
Yeah.
To our
And
board.
the parish. Yeah, I wrote the letter to the board and the parish. And I told them all of that. Right after that, the same day, a couple hours later, I received a text saying that the typical quote unquote Thursday meetings were going to be off. No more Thursday meetings. No more conversations between the parish and village water. From then on, the board at some point or another pass a resolution to continue negotiations with the parish. And we weren't aware of that. Those negotiations included that they would have meetings with one another. That is the Board of Village Water and the parish authorities. There were three different police jurors that showed up to those meetings. I couldn't tell you their names. But at that point, as Sue was saying, they found out some things that were being done without their knowledge, which, for whatever that's worth. The other point, lost my train of thought here for a minute. Ask me a question.
Let me interject for a second. Hold on just a second, Duke. So, Miss Sue, maybe you are the best one to answer this, maybe not. How is the village water system structured, this board? Is it a private business and it just has a board, or how is it structured?
Village Water is owned by the membership.
Okay.
Wow.
That is from the beginning in 1967, I believe, is owned by membership. When you pay a membership fee to belong to Village Water, and it is run by a 7-member board of directors, voted on by the membership.
Are you guys members?
Yeah, because I live in the system,
Right.
So I'm a member of the Village Water.
So they literally are not letting you go to meetings for a system that you're a member of.
And the manager of, and the bookkeeper of, and the customer persons of, everything.
So the police jury members, so earlier we were kind of talking, we were saying that, maybe some of the police jury members weren't being informed on every aspect of what was going on. but but then I just heard that there were some members that were informed. I mean, isn't it fair to say that if they have a parish, not president, but administrator acting on their behalf and saying, I'm representing the police jury as a police jury member, isn't it your duty and responsibility to be informed about what's going on? How is it that you're going to take over water systems and the most basic element of life that you're not going to be informed on the system? Do y'all think that that's
well,
That's
it's
a
like
problem. That's a problem that the residents of Bossier Parish are going to have to deal with, because there are a lot of things apparently that those guys are kept in the dark about. They don't know what goes on. They go get their little checks. They show up for a meeting once a month, and that's my honest opinion, is that's about all they're doing.
Well,
Yeah,
isn't it their responsibility to be informed? Isn't that their job? Isn't that why they're elected?
That's their
correct.
fiduciary duty
That's
to do
correct.
that, to represent the people who voted them in. And I don't see that happening.
Yeah, they didn't.
I mean,
They weren't
this is
aware
the
of
police
any of the
jury.
things that.
Oh, go ahead,
The
Sal.
police jury is a strong force in any parish in Louisiana. They have a lot of clout. They can do a lots of good things, but as we all know, they can also wreak havoc on a parish. And
Yeah.
so,
My opinion is
Go ahead, Tracy.
someone who didn't or hasn't lived in Bossier Parish, at least 3/4 of their life shouldn't be representing a parish they know nothing about. I mean, if you're from Caddo, then you should be a parish administrator for Caddo. If you're in Bossier and you know the ins and outs of Bossier, then you should represent Bossier. I don't feel like I think there should be a better candidate to represent Bossier Parish myself.
So, and Tracy, coming off that topic, you're absolutely correct, and we've reported a lot on Butch Ford and his whole residence issues and all that, but it seems to me that the parish administrator should be reporting back to the police jury members, even if it's not at a meeting. I mean, they have to be careful of a walking quorum and all that sort of thing, but there had to be some communications, because the police jury itself has to vote on allocating the money, right? So they had to know.
Well, look,
I wouldn't compare. Okay, go ahead, Duke.
Well, what I want to say there is either the police jury members were being reported inaccurate information, or they were getting accurate information and they were just going to toe the line, that they weren't going to talk bad about their friends, or they weren't going to hold them accountable, or they weren't going to do something about it. Either way, it's not a positive thing for Bossier Parish, and it's not in the best interest of Bossier Parish and certainly the citizens of the village water system.
the promises that the parish have made about the projects that they can take care of and what they can do for village water. Village water was stable. It's very good income. There was no ever any issues of money or problems. The money that the parish is going to get was from the government, American Rescue. That's where they're getting the money to put up for this. They're not putting up anything, and
Now,
they're
Sue,
still promising people.
Sue, on that point right there, the money that was promised to put up. Now, the Bellevue water system, I heard somebody at the Bellevue system say that's the same money that you've promised to other systems. Is that accurate or inaccurate from your knowledge?
That is accurate. They did apply for village water money and Bellevue money. So they did have money from American Rescue. That's why they were pushing so hard to get Bellevue in, because there is a time limit on all of that money.
But it's the same pot of money, right?
Same pot of money.
It's coming from the federal government. There are several pots of money that were delivered to all sorts of different municipalities in order to do upgrades in water systems, sewer systems, and
Yeah,
it
but
was.
Sal, what I was saying was, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. And if you don't know, say you don't know. But it was my understanding they were putting out a number of 750,000, and it was my understanding that the 750,000 number that they were throwing out there to Bellevue was the same 750,000 that they threw out there around Village. Is
I
that
don't
your
think that's
No,
correct, because
okay?
no.
they put in for a consolidation grant through the different agencies that the government created in order to pass this money through from, the treasury to the municipalities. Uh, what they had in mind
That was
for
some,
us in terms of money was like $2.2 million for projects that I had requested, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. But we didn't have that amount of money. We had enough money to survive and pay the bills and enough money in the bank. Our profit and loss, what was it, 3-to-1 ratio, Sue?
yeah,
Uh,
yes.
you know, so we were okay
Mr.
in
Morehart
terms of
is
money.
our auditor also.
Well, that
Yeah,
guy
and
gets
he's the
around
auditor.
everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Hmm.
Look, I,
So
I,
let me
I'm.
let me ask
Go
you
ahead.
this, and Duke, you may correct me too, because maybe I'm getting them confused here. Was it the Village water system or the Bellevue system that I want to swear the police jury or certain members of the police jury had alluded to was in financial trouble, or they were simply paying off the debt? Was it Village or Bellevue, Duke?
Well, that was
We
Bellevue.
weren't.
Bellevue.
We weren't.
Okay,
We weren't.
okay, I
We
want to
had
make sure I had
already
that
paid
clear.
all our loans except for one,
So
and we're
Yeah,
doing good
Bellevue
at it.
has $577 in debt right now. But it's from the original USDA loan that we had back in 1995.
right. So let's pivot just a second. So it was also said that you guys refused. They didn't have access to the computers, and they didn't have access. Um, and I'm just going to tell you, my thoughts were like on the Doug Warner video. They were basically saying that the system was sabotaged. So I'm going to say this: did y'all
Yeah.
any of y'all
Yeah.
sabotage the system? And
No.
did you refuse to give your
Okay.
passwords and deny them
Uh,
access to the system? Is that
let,
true or not true?
let me sort of go through the SCADA topic. You know, uh, I don't know what happened on that weekend, whether it was Saturday or Sunday or midnight, whenever. I, I don't know what happened. That Monday morning, our operator, AJ, came to work and realized that one tank that only feeds maybe 800 to 1,200 folks was out of water. Okay. So he immediately, me not being there, he called the IT folks for the SCADA system. Okay. When Butch said in that previous little sketch you showed there that he had talked to the guy, when he said that, the guy there is the IT guy for the software of the SCADA system. He himself went through all of the details. So, and backing up a little, anyone that has a software that deals with finances, deals with, taking payments, and the SCADA system, everything has a login. That login, once you're logged in, if you have one, it's going to be traced. Who doesn't know that? Any action that the individual that checked in or logged in does, it's going to be in the history data. When that guy was called and was talking to Butch or whoever, he said he couldn't find anything associated with what happened. So in my mind, right away a computer glitch. I don't know why they would even thought or considered that there was nefarious activity going on. I mean, I live in the water system. My friends, my my neighbors, what have you. And so, in terms of someone doing something to upset the SCADA system, it would have been noticed in the log. So nothing, no name, nothing is associated with what happened, and therefore nobody knows what happened.
Well,
Uh, Go
I
ahead.
have I have an explanation for it. It's called the police jury card. You have to blame somebody else, and
Uh,
there is a history and a pattern with the Bossier City police jury, and I would take you back all the way back, and this goes back a long ways. Even Dukesy Scott and the East 80 Fire Department and the ambulance district out there, Dukesy Scott was made, the police jury card got played on him historically. And there's other examples. And I think in this case, this is the same thing. It was, well, let's throw something out there and let's see if it sticks. And the sticking part is it's throwing out there to see if it sticks to you guys. And in this last
That's
police
primarily
jury
me,
meeting,
that
primarily
was
me, because
that was harassment. And to me, it was just it was a harassing Sal is that we're going to bring criminal charges against you. That's all. They knew there was nothing there. And as far as the passwords, well, the software, the billing software, and everybody had their own password, and you have a footprint in there. So everything you entered had your name associated with it. So if we gave
Mhm.
somebody else our passwords, then they can go in there and do whatever they want to and backdate whatever, change anything, and say it was us that did it. Why would I give my password to anybody on anything? Same thing they
Well,
asked me about QuickBooks because they tried to get into QuickBooks and I'm the administrator. So Intuit is steadily texting me trying to get in to get me to get them the code so that I would let them in. I said, you have to call your IT people. They can handle all this. I'm not giving you any information on anything. That
so
and as far as being able to get in the system, we had program books stacked up there that showed you how to walk through everything the same
very
way we
background.
learned the software programs.
That's
you
right.
agree? You agree, and Sal? I mean, from your standpoint, I'm going to say from the engineering standpoint and the mechanical standpoint, I take it you're saying they had the directions, they had the books, they had everything they needed to be able to access the system. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I mean, my background in the
That is
military,
true.
we leave in the military, we switch bases and camps, and every 2 3 years. So you have to have what we used to call TOs, and all sorts of different paperwork, so that if you died overnight, somebody could walk in, look at that, and run what you were going to do that day, because it was step by step explicit, what to do. Now, uh, did they know to even do that? I don't know. They were well aware we were not going to go through with this negotiation, and when I say we, I mean the staff, me and the ladies, if they did not fulfill their promises. So they should have, if they didn't know, they should have known, because they weren't going to keep their word. They should have
But I
known
think they were
what to
arrogant
fight.
enough. They were arrogant enough to believe that we were going to stay there and for 2 or 3 months and then let them take over. But
Why would six folks walk out at the same time if there's not something else going on there? They
So I've got a question for you, Miss Sue. Were y'all using the locally installed version of QuickBooks, or were y'all using QuickBooks Online?
Locally
We
installed.
we had locally installed. We used the Pro version.
Okay. And Tracy, I got a question for you. Did you, because again, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you were more involved in the customer service side. Were y'all using any software to track customer service issues, or did you use any particular software in your job, Tracy?
Yes, sir. We were using UMS, and they actually came and visited with us. Two of the ladies that worked for the parish for Consolidated, and actually got to see, kind of how to work their way through the system. Which Miss Jessie and I started whenever we updated our software. We pretty much kind of went in and figured things out on our own. Miss Jessie's real good about kind of going through things and discovering different little reports. And I mean, it was really kind of common sense. I mean, you have a note section to put in notes. You have a save button to save it. You have a payment screen. I mean, they got
Work
to see it
orders.
beforehand.
They had
Sal,
work order programs.
on the SCADA
Right.
system,
Yes, sir.
I mean, did they have access before you left to all of that?
No, sir, they did not. And one of the issues with the password was that some board members and some parish authority members wanted passwords to be able to get in there and see what was happening, why this software didn't work, whatever happened. And so HA, our operator, was not going to give him his, and he certainly, couldn't have given him mine. They never called me to get mine. The passwords that they're talking about.
Wait a minute. They never called you for yours?
No. They never called Tracy for her. I mean, and or Jessie. Jessie just put on a message there saying that she was never called for her password.
So the only password that was called for was Miss Sue's, correct?
Because of the accounting,
That's
I
right.
suppose.
Okay.
A board,
So all we cared
a
about
board
was the
member
money.
called me. Well, that's right.
I got it.
Because I believe that they could have figured out and got in the other and already had was able to get in touch with the software people and get passwords to get into that. But it was a little more difficult on the QuickBooks side.
Well,
So
I can tell you as an IT guy that you can absolutely get into QuickBooks because I've done it many times and break those passwords, and you can get into a support to actually reset those passwords because I've had to do that before. So they could have got
Right.
in there if they knew what they were doing.
And
Exactly.
I said, if you have IT people, if they had IT people that they claim they had, then they should have been able to figure all that out.
But I got to go back here. They were how many months in advance of this had they been coming in and working to try to take over this system and all that? And at what point why did nobody say, "Hey, set me up as a user in these accounts"? Did anybody ever ask to do that?
No, but I don't think that at that point it was when we had those meetings, which will now be almost a year ago. It was like April or May last year we started having those meetings. Legally, because the lawyers were always there, and because there was not a vote and no papers had been signed, I'm assuming that legally they could not do that. And they knew we would not do that. Our board would not have allowed them at that point to do that. That would have been illegal.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. In fact, they would have
I mean,
had to
that
have
would have been
waited a month and a half. So look at it this way. We village water folks send out a water bill. Until that gets resolved in terms of payments and so forth, that money and all of the actions were of village water. Even though that we could have at that point even signed the merger. because the money transactions were for Village Water and the bills were sent out by Village Water. So they were going to have a long period of time to take over. So in terms of speaking with Sue as to the legalities of that, that's probably why.
So let me get this straight. Sal, Sue, and Tracy. So I'm going to buy from y'all. Let's just hypothetically, I'm going to buy your Facebook accounts. I'm going to buy it from each one of y'all. And y'all agree to sell it to me. And we have a price. And I go ahead, and what y'all are saying is that I'll go ahead and I make an agreement to buy your accounts from you. And I don't ask for the passwords ahead of time before I buy it, or even I don't care to even get the passwords, the username, or how to access it. Is that what you're
Duke,
telling me how this
Well,
went?
if that would
that's
go
right. But
along, that this minute, Sue, that would go along with that. Some of the things that they were saying in terms of that Village Water was going to remain Village Water, quote unquote, in terms of operations, uh, money taken in for billing, checks written to close an account, all of that. So if you were trying to lay a perspective that this other group over here, Village Water, was going to continue to do some things, that might have introduced a doubt if I wanted to know all these passwords ahead of time. I don't know that I'm arguing or not. I'm I'm not pro parish. Let me
yeah,
tell you that. So I'm just
Say,
trying to be clear.
Sal,
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
our board member that was there on Friday could have easily asked how to contact technical support, which was actually programmed on a button on our phone on speed
Right.
dial
Mm-hmm.
to get his own.
Right.
I believe that they were so arrogant to believe that when we kept telling them we were walking out, they did not believe. Nobody believed it. Our board members didn't, and Butch Ford did not. So they had no reason. They planned to come in there and stay for a couple of months until they got into the system, got our passwords, were able to set themselves up, and that's how they planned to do it. That I don't think they had thought that that would happen like it did.
I gotta say,
That,
I agree with you, Miss Sue. It sounds like they just didn't figure y'all were leaving. So let me ask you this: as we kind of, I mean, we can stay on and talk about this all night, but what are you three up to now? I mean, you basically quit your job. So we'll
Well,
just go down the list. We'll start with Sal, and then Miss Sue, and then Tracy. I mean, are y'all okay now, or what are y'all doing?
let's say that I wanted to go out and get a job in the water or sewers systems in Louisiana. I have a dark cloud over my head that some folks put out into the media. If I went to a water system in South Louisiana, little Timbuktu town, to get a job, they're going to know about that because it's a small community.
You're
You
saying
know,
that because some elected official may have bared false witness, you're now,
yeah,
put in a bad position.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't
So
know. Yeah. Well,
Miss
how
Sue,
else to put it? I don't know how else to put it.
so Miss Sue, how about you? What are you up to these days? I mean, you don't have to share too much, but are you
um,
doing okay?
um,
Yes.
I am 79 years old. I have a good retirement income and my Social Security, and I am kicking back, enjoying life, and working in my garden and my flower bed. I mowed an acre of land today.
Well, good for you at 79. I hope I'm still kicking around like that. Good for you.
She's a
So
firecracker.
no kidding. So Tracy, what about you? Are you doing okay, or what's your status? If you care to share with us.
I'm actually looking for a job. I had kind of pre-planned, but I didn't realize I would be off work this long. I do volunteer as one of the board members for the system my residence is on for Bellevue. As you know, of course, we've been in a lot of headlines lately. But
Right.
the first thing people see on my resume, of course, is Village Water. And I have many talents. I can do a lot of things,
Oh man.
just about
Yes.
anything,
Yes.
and haven't gotten a
Yes, it
job.
is.
Yes.
Yeah. So any of our watchers that are out there, if you sounds like if you need somebody in, customer service or somebody that knows their stuff about systems, make sure and reach out to Tracy and Sal. And well, if you need a firecracker at 79 years old, reach out to Miss Sue.
Yeah.
Yes, too, y'all.
Yeah.
Hey, I will, and I hate to do this because man, this is a good note with right where we're at. But hey, I'm curious about something, and it just something y'all said triggered this. The Bellevue system, now a lot of water was sent during that ice storm to Village, and then supposedly what would remain was billed to Bellevue. I mean, do y'all have knowledge on that? I mean, how is that accurate? I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Tracy?
It was actually, it was sent to Consolidated. It was bought from someone, Mid-South, I believe. It was sent to Consolidated, and then they provided Bellevue with 77,000 gallons is what they claimed. And now suddenly we're being billed for it. When they were told at the time that it would be funded.
Well,
we froze.
Go ahead, Sal.
Oh, I was just going to say we froze. They don't have any records, as far as I know, as to how many gallons were actually pumped into the Bellevue water system. The other thing, the operator at the time, I don't know if he's still the operator over there, when they were having those issues, called me and asked me, we're a stone throw away, infrastructure-wise, pipes between Bellevue and Village Water, okay? They asked me if they could get water through us by connecting to us. And I said, do it. Hurry up. Get it done. Well, for some reason, it wasn't. And I don't know what that reason is.
Butch Ford.
Are you saying Butch Ford stopped it? Sue, are you saying Butch Ford got in the way and prevented that from happening?
I don't know, Ask Tracy. That's just I'm just being a funny because that would be if they stepped up and sent the water, then who did that?
I wasn't going to ask him for any money. You're helping your fellow operator, and that's all there is to it.
Well, I have another question. Who was the attorney representing Village System with the Consolidated?
The same lawyer that has all the water systems and sewer systems around here as Paul Kitchens.
Where have I heard that name before?
So the same, are you saying the same Kitchens that walked out on the Bellevue water system in the recent meeting, that was the same Paul Kitchens that negotiated the deal with the Village water system?
Somewhat, because Patrick Jackson was in there, and the parish had also hired another lawyer, and I really can't remember his name, to follow through with the paperwork, make sure that their T's were, I's were dotted as well.
He was Consolidated's attorney, and Patrick Jackson is the police jury.
Paul Kitchens was Consolidated's?
Yes.
No.
Oh, not Consolidated. I'm sorry, Bellevue.
No.
Right.
No.
Okay.
Wasn't it Westmoreland? Wasn't he one of the
Jeff Westmoreland?
That's his name. Shouldn't forget that. Good general.
Yeah.
So another question, why did you guys never connect to Bossier City? Did you ever approach Bossier City about getting water supply, or was that not an option financially, or what?
That never came to even be a topic, as far as I'm concerned. Never even considered that. It's too expensive to purchase water from them. what is that subdivision in front of the Baptist Church on Highway 80? They
Country
purchased,
Place.
Country Place.
yeah, Country Place.
Country Place.
They're currently purchasing water from the Bossier City, and it's expensive. It's not cheap to purchase water, especially when you live outside of a city limit. You do not affect the voting. So what are you going to do if your water is higher than the folks that live in the city?
Well, I heard a lot of folks say that they didn't like some of their water because it was brown, and they with the quality of the water, and it just stands to reason. It seems like a valid question to me that you'd get water from Bossier that was treated. It doesn't necessarily mean you wouldn't get some brown water, especially if you were at the end of the line. But I just wondered why they had never considered tying in. And I wonder if you think, because we highlighted on the show before, recently the Bossier City and the port entered into this agreement with a water thing. And a lot of the city councilmen kind of weren't aware of a lot of the things that went on. And it seems like the parish did have a hand, and that there is a larger picture and a larger hand at work here trying to organize a parish water system, that would ultimately, I think, would be to get everybody off of well water, but on to treated water from someplace. I would argue that would be Bossier City.
But, the thing is, Bossier Parish, iron ore in this area we live in such a vast iron area. It doesn't matter what kind of system, as long as you have a well that you're getting it from, at some point you're going to have brown water or, yellow water. You're going to have that because it settles in the pipes, regardless of what you do.
Village water is all well water. A lot of systems all over the state are well water, and they are treated as well. They have to be the same testing done by the state, and probably even more rigorous than the parish or the water that comes out of the Red River. That's surface treated water, and it can stink, taste bad, and everything else.
Let's face it. I make a joke about this all the time, but Bossier put their sewage treatment plant discharge upriver from their water intake, and they're getting it out of the red anyway, which is the wastewater from North Texas and Southern Oklahoma. But that's a whole
Roger that.
So
exactly.
If you treat it right, that's not an issue. But
so I want to close with. I want
to say one more thing. Please.
Go ahead, Sal.
All right. So all this time that all of these negotiations between the parish and village water board members and myself included were going on, the disputes and all of that, you're not going to do this, they're not going to do that. Why the 3rd in of itself of March did we actually put in our resignations? There were a lot of things that we were being told that we were doing on purpose, such as we actually were holding the parish hostage because we wanted more money. The parish hadn't promised us anything. We were just, okay, so they can't run the system without us. Let's take them on, let's ask for all kinds of money. We didn't, that was not, to hear that from your own board members, to accuse you of that. We're just trying to get more money out of this. That our own employees were lying about their insurance issues. That's what blew my top Thursday, the 2nd of March, when our own bosses were saying to me on a telephone call that I was trying to hold the parish hostage, that we were doing this on purpose, and so many other things that I can't recall right now. It just blew my top. And Friday morning, I said, okay, this is it. Let's put in our resignations. Let's walk out. I didn't have the support from the police jury ever.
So Sal, so you're telling me Sal, Sue, and Tracy, did any police jury member contact y'all after and ask you, is all of these things true or not?
Nope.
No, absolutely not.
Do each of y'all feel that because they didn't take the time to ask you if you were blackmailing them for more money and all that, do y'all feel like that it's accurate, bearing false witness? Because they said
Well,
it at police jury
absolutely.
meetings.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, why would that include themselves? Because they're the ones that said X things promised to us. So why would they bring that up?
Yeah. So
Well, and
police
I
jury members, you see how that works right there? You see?
Yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
just, for an example, myself, I don't think they realized, first of all, everything we did. We did everything in-house. They send everything off. I was doing certain things, keeping track of, like the backflow, for instance. I believe their engineer does that. And yet they wanted me to take right at a 10,000 year pay cut. And I was going to do it because I loved my job and I loved my members. But when you start to call me a liar about my children's insurance, there's an issue.
Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'll say on behalf of the folks from Halton, I'm an original Halton guy, and thank you guys for taking care of water and the dedication. So, Sal, for example, an Air Force guy. I mean, look, thank you for your service, and thank y'all all for attending to the system, because I got to say, you're dealing with one of the most important issues to people's lives, and having water, and I mean that's the basic thing of life, and you guys were doing it. You managed it for years, and the lady at the last police jury meeting, she couldn't have said it any better than anyone. She said, I've been on this system for 20 years, and I've had more problems in the last 30 days than I've had in the last 20 years. I think you guys should wear that as a badge of honor. I mean, because that's a reflection of you that the past 20 years
and
she
her
had no
husband's
problems.
dentist office,
What's that, Trace?
when we had a boil order, or something like that, if it affected her husband's dentist office, he was the first one called. Or like Halton Animal Hospital. I mean, we had certain people we knew, if that area was affected, we called immediately. And then we would send out that robocall.
We called Sonic because we didn't want them to have dirty water for the drinks and the water they served.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
We had the robocall system down pat. These ladies would know exactly which addresses. The program would help us, and we'd send out the robocall, and the folks would know that for X amount of time they were going to do without water. And that was never on the news. We had a lot of water leaks, a lot of water lines, lightning split water lines. We had folks without water, but they were aware exactly what was happening, and we'd get it back up as soon as we could.
Well, and I'd like to say this too. I would like to commend all three of you for, what you've gone through as far as sticking together and sticking to your guns and deciding, hey, this is what we're going to do, and not backing down from it, and being willing to come out here on our platform and give your version of the story, because there's always two sides, and somewhere in the middle is what's actually the right story. And I would tend to lean towards y'all's side, definitely, over Butch Ford and the police jury side.
I think there was somebody upset. I'm sorry. I'm going to shut up after this. I think there was somebody upset prior to the SCADA system having a glitch, and they may have used that opportunity to say, well, take that, specifically me, this is what you did. And because of the fact of what you were mentioning, we stood up. We said, if you don't do this, we're not doing that. And when it happened,
Right.
anyway, I
Well,
appreciate you guys' platform. Thank you. I've had
yes.
this in my
Keep up the
mind,
good
heart,
work.
and soul for a long time.
Well, we appreciate
Keep
you
up the good
guys.
work in Bossier Parish.
Well, we appreciate
We
you guys
appreciate your work.
watching and being willing to come on. I'd like to point out, I just had it up on the screen. Our good friend Julie Ferris says, send your resumes to jferris@pelicantrain.com, and she might, can refer you to some employers that she has a relationship with or whatever. So you maybe have a little bit of help there if you need it. Duke, do you have any closing comments?
Well, I've got a thought on my mind, and I was just going to say, thank you guys again. And look, uh, the police jury, they all have elections coming up, and
Yes.
I got to tell you, there needs to be people who are willing to get in there and do the work. And if your existing police jurors won't take the time to hear all sides of the story and they're just going to fall in line with bearing false witness, they probably need to be removed. And if they're a
Amen.
friend of yours and look, we've been accused of lies and innuendo, and probably us having this interview and you guys being on here, you're now part of the lies and innuendo. So you're on
Yeah.
the team, but you know what?
No.
Our team is larger now. Our team is larger now. And a lot of those folks, they think that they can't be beat. I think, Attorney General Jeff Landry just proved that, you know what, they can be beat, and
Yes.
with the Cypress district. So
Mhm.
thank you guys for standing up and speaking. And I would
Yeah.
encourage people, if you've ever thought about running, now's the time to do it. We need good police jurors.
Amen. If you
Yeah.
guys need anything, any more questions, you can call me, text me, what have you. Thank you.
All right, y'all have a good evening. Thank you,
Thank
and
you, guys.
Thank you.
thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tracy, for coming in on
Thanks,
the
Bye,
phone.
y'all.
Tracy. Bye, Sue.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you
Bye
later.
bye. Okay. Our first deal with, I think that was our first time to have 3 guests on. I think we've had a couple of guests on, but I think that was the first time with 3. A couple of little technical glitches, but we got everybody going, and I got to say, that was very interesting.
It was. I mean, I don't know. It just goes to show you that things are not so cut and dry always. There was a few things. One thing jumped out that was not correct. They corrected it, which I would say was fair to the police jury. That wasn't true. I'm glad we were able to clear that up. But overall, I mean, look, if you're going to be an elected official and you're going to be a police juror, you can't just at face value accept that, people under you, like your parish administrator, are giving you all the facts or that you know all the facts. And
Right.
look, I'm going to say this. If you're a police juror bearing false witness, and I'm going to say that because nobody argued with anything that was said, about these folks at the village system.
Right.
I didn't hear anybody speak up and question. And that's one of the problems. In fact, one police juror said one time, "You're not going to get me to say anything negative about my friends." Okay. Well, if your friends are not, your constituents, if that's not your friends, but you identify your friends as being the people who are elected with you, and you're unwilling to call those people out or to say, wait a minute, no, something's not right. You know what? You're the problem. And what I'm going to say is, Rex, that's the freaking problem with our whole country, is these jackwagons that are unwilling to call their cohorts that are elected out on issues like this. That's the
Well,
problem with our country, and that's why we're freaking declining. It's because of you. It's you people.
and look, we've said this since day one when we started this show. It's the good old boy network. That is essentially it. It is alive and well, and it's, taking care of their friends versus taking care of the people who they are elected to look after with the public resources.
It's taking
And
care of their friends and their own self-interest. That's it. That's
hey,
freaking it.
let's cover this one topic real quickly, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. So this was an email sent in to us. Let me switch screens here. This was an email sent to us on Harold Montgomery Road. Let me click this button and this button.
Oh, I can tell you, this is more police jury stuff right here,
oh,
baby.
yeah. We're the city council's kind of dull these days, and we're definitely back on the police jury. So let me see if I can read this. It says, probably not worth, not report worthy for y'all, but I felt I had to share it with you if I can read tonight. Ever since y'all covered Bellevue Water's issue with the police jury, I felt I couldn't miss a single show you guys do, and we thank you for that. After hearing the term police jury card, I really picked up that these guys do it a lot. This weekend, while making a trip to my in-laws in Doyline, we decided to take the longer ride around. When we come to the bridge on Harold Montgomery, we noticed the road work Bossier Parish was doing, and after we entered the road work, we noticed wet oil signs. This was about 6 p.m. It had previously rained, so the liquid we saw on the road at that moment truly looked like rain. Well, after seeing the sign, I immediately looked at my husband with complete horror on my face as I began to hear the rocks and sludge hit the side of my Tahoe. That was not rainwater on the road. The construction company had poured oil, tar, or whatever. I've heard it called so many things at this point earlier that, that day right before it rained, and this mess turned into a nightmare. When we arrived at my in-laws and got out of the vehicle, I immediately went into a panic. The sludge covered every part of my vehicle. To our surprise, my sister-in-law had pulled up right before us, and her small car was covered as well. A short time later, we started to see neighbors pass with their vehicles in the same shape. I had already decided I would be making phone calls Monday morning. Neighbor just happened to stop to speak to us and let me know his brand new truck, trailer, and four-wheeler had been covered as well, and he had already made a call to the police juror of that area. He passed his info to me, and I immediately called. This is where it gets funny. I called Mr. Brotherton, who was very polite, explained to him my situation. He informed me he had already received multiple calls that the police jury had contracted this job out to Best Yet Builders, which is actually Ernest Contracting, and that this was not the police jury's fault. They would blame this on the construction company. I almost died laughing. He immediately did exactly what I knew he would. He promptly told me he would find out what he could and call me back Monday, but to reach out to the contracted party. Since then, there has been a post made on Facebook in addition to mine, that has hundreds of comments from people that live in the area that were affected and cannot get this mess off their vehicle. It is everywhere on mine and the undercarriage, and now on the inside. My children got in and ruined their clothes. They will attach. We are now waiting for a response from Ernest Contracting on how they're going to handle the issue. I'll attach a few photos to show just as nasty this was. They should have shut it down.
Right, come on, Rex. We all get a little road hazard on our car. I mean, come on, how bad could it be?
I've got a little tar on mine, but looky here.
This is. Wait a minute. What does that emblem on the side say? I can't even read it.
Yeah, no kidding. It's virtually covering up the Tahoe. For those of you listening to the podcast, there is literally probably a couple of ounces of oil or tar slick on the running boards of this Tahoe.
I mean, that looks like an undercoating job gone bad.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, wait a minute. We're not through. We got a couple of more pictures here. Here's a picture of the road.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to pull down that road. I got to be in all fairness.
If I pulled up there in my white truck, no way I'm going down that road. No
way I'm going down that. That's like a hazmat incident happening right there.
AJ and Mandy Foy says, that's an oil spill. Yeah, pretty much it is. Let's see. Let's do a couple of more pictures as we kind of wrap up and close out the show here. Let's see. What else do we have? Yeah, there's some more showing it. Let's see.
Yeah, that's guaranteed going to undercoat your car right there, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have undercoating, overcoating, whatever else. And I would be more naturally upset. I mean, that's actually bad.
Look at that.
That's actually
That is absolutely ridiculous. If the parish is condoning, oh wait a minute, they're not. They're blaming somebody else for that, right?
yeah.
I
The
mean,
parish is always
so
blaming
if
it
you
on somebody else.
guys want that paint job on your vehicle too, I suggest you contact your current police jury members to find out where they're doing road repair, so you too can have that undercoating job on your vehicle.
Yeah. Now let's see. Tabitha did. Okay, so Tabitha, I didn't want to share your name out, but she said that Tabitha said in the comments, she's the one that sent the email, said the company did reach out to me this evening and offer to wash my Tahoe. So, let us reach back out to us. Let us know how do they, how they do with the
And you know
wash
what?
job on it.
That is respectable. I gotta say. I mean, if the company's reaching out to fix that, I mean, hat tip to them for being responsible. But I gotta say, man, why would you let anybody even ride on that? You should block that off.
Yeah, and Greg Bell asked, did she say at the time it had been raining? I might have missed that. I think she said it was either raining or had just rained. Tabitha, if you don't mind, clarify that in the comments. All right, Mr. Lowry, you're yawning. I'm starving. And everybody else is still watching. We still got, I don't know, well, let's see, across all the platforms, probably over 60 people watching right now at a 2-hour show.
Well, we appreciate everybody, and look, we're beating up on the police jury pretty hard, and I'm not giving them a complete pass here on this thing with the village system or whatever, because uh, if you're going to aspire to take over systems and you're going to, deal with people's lives, you need to give a little bit more consideration. And I don't know that enough consideration was given. And someone could say that, it wasn't the actual police jurors, but you know what? The truth of the matter is you ran, you asked to be elected, you asked to be in the seats. It's your responsibility. You can say somebody else, you can play the quote unquote police jury card, you can say it's somebody else's responsibility, but I'm sorry, that's not right. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility. And if you're unwilling to hold your appointees or your employees accountable, it's on you. It's on
Right.
you.
Right, I agree. Take responsibility, Figure out what's going on, do whatever it takes to correct the situation. Quit sloughing it off on everybody else. Having dealt with the police jury over the Cypress District issue and all that, and they basically just ignore it and brush it off. Oh, is our good friend Mark Smith here?
Mark Smith says the district voted to become part of the police jury. You know what, Mark Smith, that may be right, but what promises were made to that district that were false promises? What promises were made that were promises that weren't going to be kept? I will bet you that we could probably get those guests that we had on earlier to come back and elaborate a little bit more if we thought that was appropriate, and we could point out a little more. But I mean, I think we're safe to say we could stop right here about the bearing false witness thing, because I think
yeah, I mean, as demonstrated earlier, mysterious Mark Smith, the district may have voted to become a part of the police jury, but I bet they didn't vote to become part of the insinuation campaign by Butch Ford and the police jury that something nefarious was going on and somebody had hacked into the system, insinuating that it was these employees who had done that. Didn't come out and say it, but insinuated that. I bet they didn't vote to become a part of that, Mark Smith. So,
yeah, probably not.
With that said,
Rex,
Mr. Lowry.
Rex, good job with the tech stuff tonight. You worked wonders, because we had a lot of tech issues tonight again. But hey, good job.
I appreciate it. And good job on getting our guests set up and lined up to come on the show. They were definitely interesting. I'd like to thank everybody for watching, and, the usual spill. If you got something you want to send to us, want it to be anonymous, make a Proton Mail account, send it to bossierwatch at protonmail.com. Mr. Duke.
Rex, I'm sorry. Look, hey, everybody, y'all say a prayer tonight. Julie Ferris, thank you for reminding Julie and Michael Ferris. We had a officer shooting in Bossier today. There were a couple of people that I'm going to say were murdered. I think that was the case. You had officers that responded, a Bossier City policeman. He was shot. I do know that he went to surgery. I understand that his surgery went well and he is recovering and is expected to, pull through it with flying colors. So,
Good
but
deal.
still, everybody say a prayer for him. And,
Well, and for the families of the victims, apparently that were shot or whatever, we need to also remember them as well as the officer that was shot doing his job, trying to
Yep.
protect everybody else.
Yep. Amen to that. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Rex.
All right. See you next week, Mr. Lowry.